Marlon Brando was one of the most famous and acclaimed actors who ever lived, but after he died, it was his love life that made headlines, and you'll never guess who his partner was. By the time of Audrey Hepburn's death in 1993 at the age of 63, the movie icon had proven herself to be a figure of note both on and off camera. She famously starred in classic movies like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Funny Face, and when Audrey Hepburn's Enchanted Tales won the Best Spoken Word Album for Children Grammy in 1994, she became one of just 19 people to have won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. In her later years, Hepburn became a prominent activist as a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. Few of her fans knew, however, that Hepburn spent many of her formative years in the Netherlands, and during World War II supported the Dutch resistance against German occupation. A notable dancing talent during her teenage years, Hepburn performed at Black Evenings, shows banned by the Nazis which aimed to raise money for refugees fleeing the regime. She also helped in assisting Allied bomber pilots whose aircraft were brought down in the Netherlands, passing on information, phrase books, and money to help them avoid capture. Hepburn had alluded to these activities during her lifetime, but it was only after her death that researchers were able to verify claims she had made in passing.
My uncles were the first hostages to be shot in Holland, and it was actually the turning point because from that day on, an underground was formed.
Heath Ledger died tragically in 2008 of an accidental prescription drug overdose, aged just 28. By then, the Australian actor had established himself as a bankable romantic lead in classics of the era such as 10 Things I Hate About You and the acclaimed gay western Brokeback Mountain in 2005. But Ledger's defining role was a posthumous one. In 2008, moviegoers were treated to a new Batman movie, The Dark Knight, featuring Ledger as the Joker. A year prior, Ledger had teased the performance in an interview with Empire magazine, saying, "He's just an absolute sociopath, a cold-blooded mass-murdering clown, and Chris Nolan has given me free rein," which is fun because there are no real boundaries to what the Joker would say or do. Nothing intimidates him and everything is a big joke. Ledger mentioned that he had locked himself in a London hotel room and journaled to get into the character's headspace. It was only after his death that glimpses of the diary in question came to light and showed how intensely Ledger had obsessed over his role, with drawings and scrawled writings that looked as though they were created by the Joker himself. Robin Williams' 2014 death by suicide was met by a wave of heartbreak from his colleagues and fans, many of whom knew him from his classic stand-up routines, TV shows, and movies going back to the 1970s. Much of his work was family-friendly fare, such as Mrs. Doubtfire, which made him a favorite among children. But away from the cameras, Williams had long been open about the depression that plagued him throughout his life, as well as his alcoholism and drug addiction, which exerted a toll on his private life. He was forthcoming with such revelations in interviews, details of which seem so at odds with his hyper-energetic and upbeat stage persona.
You always have a little bit of fear, like you have to just keep at it. It's a day by day.
According to his widow, Susan, though, Williams' autopsy revealed the disturbing truth that the comedian was suffering from a brain disease called Lewy body dementia, a rare condition that causes violent mood swings and was the most likely cause of his death. For nearly half a century, Saturday Night Live has created generation after generation of American comedic superstars. Debuting in 1975, the show has launched dozens of careers, turning unknown comedians into household names. According to Doug Hill and Jeff Weingrad's Saturday Night, a backstage history of Saturday Night Live, back in 1981, the showrunners were keen to attract one particular up-and-coming talent, John Candy. Candy was on the rise at the time, starring in the Canadian sketch show SCTV alongside Martin Short and Eugene Levy, and starting to gain his first movie roles. SNL would likely have given his career another major boost, but Candy turned it down, with a book claiming that he was unhappy at being caught between the two shows. However, speaking to Today on the 30th anniversary of Candy's sudden death at the age of 43, the actor's daughter, Jennifer, revealed that his main reason for turning down the opportunity was his family. In its heyday, SNL was famously a hotbed of hedonism, while Jennifer said her father was the ultimate family guy. That's the reason he didn't want to do Saturday Night Live. He knew the lifestyle wasn't going to be healthy for him. He was smart in that way. Chadwick Boseman was an acclaimed actor whose career had just hit its commercial peak at the time of his tragic death from colon cancer in 2020 at the age of 43. In 2018, he starred in Marvel's Black Panther, a box office smash that took in more than $1.35 billion worldwide, a movie which made him a megastar and earned him legions of fans. But neither fans nor the majority of his colleagues were aware that at the same time as working on major Hollywood films, Boseman was receiving cancer treatment. By the time of his death, Boseman had been aware of his condition for 4 years, during which time he produced some of his greatest work. His performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was released the year of his death, for which he was posthumously nominated for an Academy Award. The legendary actor Marlon Brando was surprisingly open about his sexuality during the height of his fame, making reference to homosexual experiences at a time when homophobia was rife. However, it was only in 2018, 14 years after Brando's death, that the world learned that he had at one time slept with another of the era's leading men. comedian Richard Pryor. The surprising liaison came to light through a Vulture interview with producer-musician Quincy Jones, who said of his friend Brando, he'd f*** anything. He'd f*** a mailbox. James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye. The interview quickly went viral, with fans and online gossipers alike searching for confirmation that Jones's unexpected and unverified claim was in any way true. But Pryor's daughter initially rubbished the claim. The affair was later confirmed by Pryor's widow, Jennifer, who said that the comedian wrote about his fling with Brando in his diaries. Steve McQueen was only 50 years old when he died of a heart attack just hours after he underwent major surgery in a hospital in Mexico to remove a cancerous tumor in his lungs. He had been diagnosed with mesothelioma, which had spread through his body and which was widely considered to be incurable. The surgery came a year after the actor's diagnosis at the end of 1979. By then, McQueen had reportedly become a born-again Christian, embracing the faith 6 months before finding out he had terminal cancer. He later became a devotee of the evangelist preacher Billy Graham, who gave McQueen his own Bible to pray with. Biographer Marshall Terrell told Fox News, "Before cancer, McQueen's outlook on life was very cynical. I think Christianity gave him comfort. He was going to announce that he was a Christian, but he never got that opportunity." Matthew Perry's sudden death at 54 was deeply shocking for his fans when it was announced back in October 2023. The Friends actor was found dead in his jacuzzi, which led to speculation that he may have drowned, though an autopsy later revealed that he had died of a ketamine overdose. Perry had dealt with drug and alcohol addiction throughout his career, discussing his journey candidly in his 2022 memoir Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, and his death came after a period in which the actor had seemingly maintained sobriety. Friends co-creator Marta Kaufman told NBC's Today that Perry had found purpose in helping others overcome addiction, a fact later confirmed by actor Hank Azaria, who recalled Perry taking him to an AA meeting to help him quit alcohol. Kaufman said, "He was in a really good place, which is why this seems so unfair."
People will listen to me, so I've got to take advantage of that. I've got to help as many people as I can.
Multiple anonymous sources who claim to have been close to the actor, however, told Us Weekly that despite public appearances, Perry continued to use drugs recreationally in the years before his death and was adept at hiding it. More disturbingly, they claim that Perry's drug use underpinned troubling behavior in his private life, including a physical altercation with his best friend who tried to intervene, and claims of abuse from a romantic partner. The Dick Van Dyke Show was a huge ratings smash in the 1960s and made a star of Mary Tyler Moore, the up-and-coming comedy actress who portrayed Van Dyke's on-screen wife, Laura. The show ran for 5 years, making Moore a household name and leading to her own The Mary Tyler Moore Show, which was a huge hit a decade later. Moore was admired for her startling good looks, her beaming smile, and her immaculate comic timing. She remained a popular figure throughout her life before her death in 2017 at the age of 80. But what she kept secret throughout the decades of her fame was that she had suffered dramatic deterioration of her vision as early as the 1980s, a symptom of type 1 diabetes, and was close to sightlessness for the second half of her life. Moore's husband, Dr. Robert Levine, confirmed to Page Six that the actress had hidden her condition from the public up until her death. Levine later founded the Mary Tyler Moore Vision Initiative in her memory.
Diabetes is a disease that has to be dealt with on a daily basis.
Laurence Olivier was a legend of both stage and screen. The English actor first made his name on London's West End in the late 1920s before breaking into Broadway, establishing himself as one of the finest stage actors of his generation. Arguably, his greatest achievement came in 1937, the year of his legendary Hamlet, which was shortly followed by a starring role as Heathcliff in the Hollywood film adaptation of Wuthering Heights in 1939. By the time he starred in 1940's Rebecca, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, he was a household name. In his prime, Olivier was known for his dashing good looks and simmering charisma, but as fans found out later, even actors as legendary as him can face the occasional crisis of confidence. In 1971, Olivier starred in Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night at the British National Theatre. The role was demanding, and Olivier, who was in his mid-60s, had just overcome 2 periods of ill health. According to the play's director Michael Blakemore, the aging Olivier had difficulty remembering his lines, which worried him as they entered the technical dress rehearsal. He admitted to Blakemore prior to the performance, "That's funny, I've got stage fright." The opening night began anxiously, but even as Olivier forgot a line toward the conclusion of the play, it was rapturously received by audiences. Laurence Olivier courted some controversy in his life after it was revealed that he had been having an affair with the actress Vivien Leigh, with whom he co-starred in several films and plays. Both actors were already married to other people when they began their liaison, though the pair tied the knot themselves in 1940, a year after she starred as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. The film is considered a classic, made Leigh into a movie icon, and gained her an Academy Award.
Red, you go. Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
In the years that followed, Leigh continued to attract major roles, starring in Caesar and Cleopatra in 1946 and A Streetcar Named Desire in 1951. However, Leigh also gained a reputation for being difficult to work with, and it was only after her death that it was understood that she was privately dealing with mental health issues that were little understood at the time. Biographers now agree that Leigh had bipolar disorder, which affected both her work and her relationships. She was frequently hospitalized and treated with electroshock therapy, a tragic aspect of her private life which was largely hidden from the public.